That shit crack.
Peace, family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. Today I'm going to be talking about the Sun square Uranus. Um, my name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Ascendant Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. Um, So this Sun square Uranus, I did talk about it a little bit when I did the Leo full moon video, but I didn't go into all the transits. I'm going to break those down as they come up throughout the weeks so that we can have a little more in-depth conversation, and the videos aren't so long and whatnot. So this will be the first of me starting that series. And so this really is going to be like when they shock your heart, you know, when they have you on that thing and you gotta, yeah, right here, man. Just gonna get this Leo full moon started. And people could have already been feeling it as of yesterday. Um, but I just seen two things happen this morning already in the same goddamn space. Let me tell you how spirit ain't finna play with y'all right now. You're gonna change. You're gonna change your evil ways. Or, the outside world gonna come and get you. So earlier this morning, the policeman was out here. They arrested somebody. They had 3 cruisers. I've been living here since 2020. I haven't seen anything like this before. This is the first time. And then just a while ago, before I set up this video, there was another family next to that same house, had just had an outburst, yelling and screaming out there, like, it's coming. Do you feel it? Doo, doo, doo. Okay. So like it's really finna get real right now. So Uranus just hit a new degree. It's now at 15 degrees. It hasn't been at 15 degrees Taurus since it went into Taurus in 2018. So that's another reason why this could feel like an extra additional shock. Plus, the sun is in Aquarius, and Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and it's getting a shock. Um, it doesn't happen exact. The square doesn't happen exact until tomorrow, the 3rd. But we can definitely be feeling it a few days before and a few days after. And so Aquarius season is so active because Uranus is fast moving energy, unexpected energy. It's electric. It's electricity. It's an actual frequency that's being, formulated throughout this time, or whenever any Aquarius energy is being activated, right? And because all Aquarius planets, when all the planets move through Aquarius, they square or connect to the nodes, it creates a fateful situation. So this is again more Uranus energy, because Uranus does rule the North Node. And we're 3 months out, right? It's February, March, April, yeah, May. 3 months away from the first eclipse of this year, which I am positive it's going to be in Scorpio. So now we have Uranus activation, and squares are like Mars energy. Mars is currently in Gemini, so we got Mars and Gemini energy activated. Mars rules Aries, that's Jupiter energy, which will, that's starting to be squared, and we'll be talking more about that as well. And Pluto and Capricorn is being activated, not just because the South Node is in Pluto, but we're having a Scorpio South Node eclipse, as well as this entire month between that 27, 28, and 29 critical degree is activated this month. So, yeah, the shit's about to hit the fan, y'all. And that's not to scare anybody. I hope when I talk like that, it doesn't, I just, like, shit's about to get real. Okay, this is a real wake up call to whatever it is you want to change and transform in your life, or don't. Either way, this is working out for you. It's going to be an electric shock to your Aquarius area of life. It's going to be a wake up call to your Aquarius area of life. This is real. Um, so the sun will square Uranus, and we're wrapping up things since the last Uranus conjunction we had back in May or spring. I'll just say springtime, okay? Which I think starts in April actually. Um, and so you want to think back to April, May, what was going on for you, what was coming up for you to be addressed and handled, which I'm almost positive it was things ruled around friendships, groups, anything to do with online stuff, and that kind of energy, because Uranus rules Aquarius, Aquarius rules the 11th house. The 11th house is party celebrations, stadiums, big, large groups of people, revolutions, um, or large groups of people protesting, picketing. It could be anything. Um, surrounded around large groups of people or stadiums, concerts, um, friends, groups that you belong to, because Pluto's there. This could be secret groups, right? um, how you work on the social media, how you present yourself on social media, if you do, whether you want to, if so, why, um, and your hopes and wishes, long-term goals, um, and institutions, and like philanthropy, and stuff like that. So, um, on a global scale, I think what we're going to see is a lot of these themes being activated. So we're either going to see a lot of groups of people. We already see them rioting or picketing or protesting for the police shooting, right? For Tyree, I think is his name. Um, what else? I feel like I seen something else. Um, Yeah, more layoffs with tech companies, or conversations about how we use social media, whether they're going to charge us or not. Um, what age group teenagers or younger kids might be debunked from social media, or people are moving platforms, starting new platforms, because our freedom of speech and freedom in general is going to be threatened in some way, shape, or form, or you can't say certain things, which is going to make people move to different platforms and things of that nature. So, be ready for that. Um, the the sun in Aquarius, the sun rules ego. It's actually the ruler of Leo, this full moon, which is in opposition to that, by the way. Um, Leo in the fifth house. And so it's going to shine a light on all things ruled by Leo. That's your ego, your goals, your hobbies, creative projects that can be turned into a business, children. Oh my God, I'm feeling it with the children, you guys. Um, this could also be like having the children, getting pregnant, having the conversation about having babies. Maybe some people are having babies. Um, I actually did see, was it Summer Walker? I think she's getting ready to give birth with Erica Badu. She's a doula. I freaking love Erica Badu. She's a Pisces. Um, so we can see a lot of pregnancies or hear a lot of people having babies and things of that nature. Um, Hobbies, investments, the meme stocks specifically. I think what was it, back in 2020? Because this transition happens once every year. And so back in 2020 was about the meme stocks, the GameStop stuff when they kind of shut that down. Or they said it was a shutdown. I'm pretty sure they was covering up whatever the fuck was really going on with that GameStop situation. You guys remember that? We could see something more about that, the finalization of what that was. Or it'd be a totally different platform, something else around, um, that the NFTs, what I was talking about in the last video when I was breaking down artists, what if they shut down stadiums and concerts and things of that nature? They're already talking about, I told y'all brick and mortars are being attacked right now. So if you're thinking about buying a building in a digital era when you could do everything online, think about that. If you don't need it, don't do it. And remember, this isn't about buying something so that you get your ego stroked. This is about investments. This is money. Is it a wise investment? Is it going to pay you more that it's going to give you problems? You really have to make definitive decisions around that. If you have a house and you have land and you can start your own business and grow from that, do that, because it's the best time to do it that way financially. You can grow more that way. Before then, if you get ready, save up for a building if it's necessary, etc., etc. But you also have to remember Uranus is in Taurus, and I'm going to get there in a minute. Taurus don't give a fuck about no damn brick and mortar. Taurus is like, well, what's the more practical choice? And because America's in debt, the more practical choice is the lesser of the evils. It's not the materialism and again about stroking your ego so that you could show off that you got your own building. It's about working smarter, not harder. A building's going to definitely be harder just because it's more responsibility. So the lesser of the evils is to work from home, work digitally, if that's something your business can do. I know that it's not going to relate to everybody, but use your discernment, right? So you got to remember those things for whatever it is you're trying to build. Not everybody wants to have a business. This could be a family. Is it the right time to have a family? And even if it isn't, and it's going to be a little bit harder, are you prepared to put in the work? Because as long as you got the support to do these types of things, that changes the dynamics of this conversation. But if you know that you're already struggling, making a decision that's going to bring in more struggle, that's what this is highlighting right now, is what's the best choice for happiness. Leo ruling the fifth house is all about fun, play, romance, dating, getting that old thing back, putting some slow music on and rubbing up on your booty and all that. My God, it's sex, casual sex. Can you afford to do those things? Uh, if it doesn't work out in your favor for whatever reason, you know, is it worth it? If you're looking for real love, should you be offering casual sex, right? Even with your dating process, are you being intentional about that when you go out there looking for love in all the wrong places and expecting the outcome of greatness? You really got to stop to think at this point. Aquarius and Saturn have been activated. It's about to close this cycle. You have had to have learned something by now that's telling you this has not been working in my favor. So I can do that. So you got to switch it up and do something different. My sister is a Leo, and I always feel like whenever there's a highly activated sign in astrology and that sign comes into your life, they're finna teach you something. And so we were talking about relationships and dating and my process and how I'm like, I have a pretty structured goddamn process, but I'm still single, bitch. And it was at that moment that we was having that conversation where a light bulb went off, and she was mentioning how we was talking about being so proud of Kiki Palmer and how she handled her dating life and her situation, and look at her now. And at that point, when that light bulb went off in my head, and I said, and I'm still single. This is me inside my head having a whole conversation with myself. Like, well, at what point do I start making some different decisions about my structured dating process? Is there something that I can do different? Of course, you know exactly what it is that you're doing wrong that you need to change. And at that point, it was like, okay, am I going to go with my ego and want to just get my ego stroked and do whatever your ego is going to tell you to do things the way you've been doing it. Nothing's wrong with what you're doing. You're doing just fine. You don't need to change anything. But I decided to go with the higher of that perspective and say, you know what, you're absolutely right now, and seen that as a message and was like, yo, um, it was either your sister's looking up to you as somebody who she looks up to for advice. Is that the type of advice that you want her to see through you? And I started changing my dating stuff and how I was dating. And I sat down, I restructured my plan. Right. And so it could be situations like that, because I have Aquarius in my fifth house. So it's definitely going to be about dating, love, and romance for me. Oh, yay. Um, and so, you can use that story and take that and put that into perspective for your own life. Where have you been constrained, and feeling like you don't have, or you're tired or exhausted, or you just don't have the energy for something anymore because what you have been doing has not gotten you where you were trying to go because you're tired, you're exhausted. That's what you want to change. Whatever that area of life is, I can assure you, you want to change that. Um, uh, what else? Your goals. Yes, so it's shining a light where goals can become more important in how we can share our gifts with the world. Okay, what are we going to do different this time? Um, I think if I had to be honest, because Leo is also the retirement um energy for me. And I know a lot of people are at that point where they have to think differently on how to get a job or self-employment, or whether it's working or if it isn't. So a lot of people might have to go get some education, some training courses on how to actually be self-employed, or you're learning at this point, you need more capital for whatever businesses you started at this point, and how that can help you build and flourish and grow with what you've already set up for yourself. And I had spirits just been bringing folks to me like, bitch, you ain't crazy. I'm trying to tell you, you onto something. I met somebody and I was talking to them about their business. This person said, not only do they have their own business, but their whole family are talented with businesses, and none of them are being structured or tended to because they work and they don't have the time to tend to their businesses. So when I made the comment, I think I posted this on my IG around hiring people and getting people to work with you. I'm pretty sure that's where a lot of us are right now. And of course, we would want those people to be our family, because I talked about family and how important family is to Leo collective, and that's kind of where most of us are at. Or maybe you have friends, Aquarius energy, that are considered family that you might want to help you, but they might not be the best choices for you. So it's trust. It's all about trust. That's what I'm learning the most, and how I talked about this Plutonian energy and how it's kind of been darkening us by keeping us internal inside. We don't want to kind of communicate with others, don't know who we trust because we have trauma that's so deep and buried that we don't know who to trust, what's real, and things of that nature. Fear. Um, and we got to be real careful with being in that mindset at this time, because they are going to try to control us with fear and constrict us with whatever's coming up next, around these themes and war and um you know, probably some more health shit. Who fucking knows what these people got planned? But whatever it is, it's gonna be fear based to keep you in this lower frequency so that you're not focused on the higher frequency that's calling you right now to make some serious changes. And so investment is going to be a thing. I talk about Dr. Boyce Watkins all the time. Go over to his page, save up until you get enough money to learn how he's selling stocks and making money from that, and just keep building from that. All right. So the sun is also our consciousness, action oriented, driven, and things that are obvious because it shines light on those things. So again, this is to me an awakening moment, something that you're being awakened to. Full moons can be things that you wake up to that you weren't privy to before. Okay, so you're getting more information to your story on how to move forward, grow, evolve, and flourish. The moon is more out of the blue, didn't see that coming, and it's more subconscious, more internal, more emotional too. And so I really do think that's what's bringing the drama, that people are going to react from emotional responses are going to be fucking dramatic. Okay, because people want to be heard. They think it's your job to let them lean on you and pour out all their problems and issues to you, and it's something that you got to deal with. You got to work out and address. And if you're in trauma and fear, I'm telling you right now, you're not in a space to even hear if somebody is really coming for you or not. It's probably an illusion. It's a delusion of emotions that you have from unhealed trauma. You don't know who you are. So how can you trust what your eyes are seeing? You see? You understand what I'm saying? You have to be careful. This is a very karmic time. At the same time, all this other stuff is happening with all these Aquarius energies and planets hitting that North Node energy. You are literally creating your own karma right now. Be mindful of what you absolutely do not want to repeat and go through. Um, Family, go get help. Talk to somebody. You don't even have to tell nobody. You know, the magical thing about counseling or getting help or learning and educating yourself, nobody has to know that that's what the fuck you do on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? Be careful. Be careful. The sun is also ego, joy. I feel like I said creativity. I just said creative projects. And unfortunately, the sun is in its fall in Aquarius, which makes this even more hard to express those sun traits. So, like I always say, whenever something's being highlighted, not for everybody, okay, this isn't going to be everybody's story, but for the people who got a little bit more growing to do for sure, it's going to come up as drama. It's always going to show up in the lower expressions of things because um, It's a lesson. You're being tested right now. Anytime you got karmic north node energy being activated or south node energy being activated, it's a test. Now, you've already completed a bunch of Saturn energy. You're almost at the end of your 2 year Saturn lesson. What did you learn? And so when these things start coming at you from left to right to left to east to west to right, okay, you got to block them. You got to stop, think things through, okay? Understand um if you really want to deal with that, why, what's the outcome you expect, and you lay down those rules and expectations when these people come into your life with this energy, right? And make sure you stay in control, not control like demanding control, rude, disrespectful, or anything like that, but firmly planted in the ground. You know, both Scorpio energy and Aquarius energy, you don't tell these people what to do. They tell you what to do. And so remember, it's about being strong and knowing who you are that plants you firmly on the ground, what it is you're willing to accept, that's boundaries, and how far people get into your life, right? It's only at arm's length now, or you're looking at it from a higher perspective. No matter what they say, you hear them, like you can hear clearly what they're saying. But when you get to the Phoenix rising energy, and anything after Scorpio is supposed to be you're supposed to be high, vibrating off of a higher frequency. Now you're looking at the bigger picture when they talk. You're not going to focus on the small details, the small talk, the things that aren't really important. Because now at this point, you know and understand. First of all, small talk gets you nowhere. Don't let anybody come into your life and do small talk if it's not leading to a bigger resolution. You know, I feel like people get this mixed up all the time. When I was taking what counseling class was that? One of my psych classes. I think it was oh my God, you guys, it was so long ago. I want to say it was arts psychology. Don't quote me on that, guys, but it was one of my psychology classes for sure. And she set up a little, put us up in groups. And I told this story before, so forgive me for the people who've heard this story already. She put us in like little groups to work one on one with each other. And she said, now do like, pretend like you are having a counseling session. And me and this girl, we was just sitting there, you know, doing what we were being told to do. And she gave us like 15 minutes to complete, you know, the requirements of what she had asked for or whatever. And then after a while, she said, well, what did you think? How do you think counseling can is talking, is about having a conversation? Because and just before she said that, mind you, the girl that I was working with says it's just like having a conversation. um, and I'm sitting there agreeing with her, just still in the moment of processing. And then the teacher says, you know, do you think it's like having a conversation? And a lot of everybody was shaking and nodding their head, yes. And she's like, that's where you're wrong. Counseling is not about having a conversation. So when you're with your girls and you got your friends that you're leaning on to have a conversation about shit you got going on in your life, and somebody's giving you advice and you appreciate them and it's all love there, I'm going to tell you why this doesn't work. It's nothing wrong with being supportive and having a supportive ear, but make that shit a minimum, because small talk is just that, small talk, and it's a waste of time when you could have been working towards something else. Counseling is actual skill sets and tools that you are being given to work through your issues. It is not just about sitting down uh complaining and talking about everybody. I'm telling you right now, there is a rhyme or reason to counseling, right? And so when you're in these types of situations, minimize them. Not to be rude again or disrespectful. It's not real. It's not what you really think you're doing. You know what I'm saying? People can drain your energy this way. It can become overwhelming. And this is why people start fighting and not getting along anymore, especially if you start to say something. And again, this person is traumatized and they hear you say something super smart and intelligent. They are not on the same frequency as you. Now y'all two are arguing because they think you're being disrespectful to them and hurting their feelings when you're only giving them game. They can't see that. They're not seeing this situation clearly. You understand? They are operating from a lens of trauma, which is not real. Okay. And that's going to be hard, especially if it's your family. You know what I mean? And who wants to walk away from family? Everybody wants to think that they're helping and all that stuff, but it's not an actual real skill set just to be sitting down and talking about folks all day. It's actually a low frequency, and it actually does kill you. You remember that um what was that experiment that Chinese dude did with the water? You know, you guys are like, what is it, 80% water or 70% water? And you sitting there disrespecting other people, talking about other people and wondering why you catching hell, right? You're not feeding yourself healthiness by doing that. It's unproductive. Okay. So be mindful of that. um, what else? Um, yeah. So we'll see Saturn ready to give us our flowers so long as we pass this test and make the right decision, or you're going to have a big falling out somewhere, somehow that's just going to continue on to for the next few years. And then you got to deal with it through the lens of Saturn and Pisces. Good fucking luck with that. Um, be prepared to celebrate and your small wins, and be clear on what that is, because you are definitely going to have something else going on that's not so fucking celebratory, because that's just how North Node energy comes in. That's just how Uranus energy comes in. That's just how squares work. That's just how Saturn is. It's always about discipline, lessons, and you always have to learn it through. Nobody else can teach you this. This is something you are going to definitively have to sit down and be like, okay, what do I really want to do? How do I really want to address this moving forward? Because you are going to create the next year for yourself by whatever decision you make for whatever's coming up for you. Um, um, This can also be, what we're willing to sacrifice, what we're willing to do to sacrifice, um, um, to sacrifice to achieve your goals. So what are you willing to do to sacrifice to achieve your goals? Try saying that five times. And there's a certain level of peace and good decision making you have to do for that as well, and it doesn't include drama. I can assure you of that. Or people are dumping all their problems out on you. So be mindful. You can kindly tell people, that when you are free, they're more than welcome to come in and chat and whatever, but um, no advice given. Instruct folks to go get some unbiased help, and give them some love and support. Put on a movie, get some liquor and some drinks or something, and go out, have a good time. Give them a hug and cry with them. But trying to fix them, direct that to the in another direction. Um, so some more themes that can come up with this are communication. Aquarius is communication. technology, the mind, with both Gemini being activated here somewhat with that Mars energy and Uranus or Aquarius in general. Aquarius is the higher octave of Gemini. So if Gemini is everyday chatter, your initial interest, Aquarius is the higher vibration and frequency to all of that. Any communication, mind or matter, this could be for sure mental breakdowns, burnout, um, because Uranus is such a big energy and it's really heavily highlighted. Be careful for your energy. Um, freedom, freedom of saying whatever it is you want or sharing ideas or being in groups that, reflect where you're at in your life right now. Social media, Twitter, um, I definitely think, like I was saying before, we're going to see some stuff like that, teams, documents, and mandates. I think people are going back to work. They're trying to get back in the workforce, and between self-employment, even taxes, I think um, if you're doing your taxes this year, that you're going to find yourself having questions to ask around, do you have any Bitcoin? Because they need to pay up. All the people who got money for 2020, you need to pay up. Um, they're looking for, they need to pay their bills, and how they do that is through you. And so they're going to start charging for a lot more stuff to get that money to pay the debt that they owe. So we can see a lot of things like that coming up. Food, they already said the food prices are fucking bonkers. Um, yeah. Um, Now, because the sun is in Aquarius and is ruled by Uranus and detriment, this could be destabilization of the earth, right? It's in an earth sign. Or like I was mentioning that the sun in Leo is like contained passion. And so if something's been boiling up in your family and you've been saying that I can't wait till I get the chance to say papa papa papa. It's an outburst, again, emotional, big, huge emotional responses. Or this could be about decentralization. Um, um, hmm, a frequency or a fluctuation in the markets or with money or your emotions. This could be earthquakes, weather. I know we're supposed to be, there's already a weather alert out for like low, something like below something, some shit that's supposed to be crazy. This is definitely Uranus, okay? And the banks, we can hear a lot about banks and decisions that they might have made around Bitcoin and the dollar and where that whole thing is at. Um, mm, what else? I feel like that's about it. Those in political arenas having control against Taurus related things. Also, supply chain too is another thing. I also think we're going to see a lot of Taurus people standing up for themselves, for others, setting the stage for being the example, right? Because they're on that Uranus frequency. Trust me, they got a fire under their ass and they've been have it. They know what to do now. Um, Farmers, land. Remember, Taurus is in Vedic astrology, Taurus is Cancer energy. So that Cancer moon energy, family, home, land, property, um, buying a home, buying property, people moving in, people moving out, changes with your lease, property, on the public, um, on the global scale, the moon rules the public, how public housing. We can hear a lot of stuff coming up about that, whether they want to build more, build less, people moving outside to rural areas instead of the city. I talked a lot about all these things. It really just is like a refresher. So if you want to go back to those Taurus and Uranus videos that I did, um, and the conjunction videos that I did all last year, again, just go back and check them out and see what was going on, because those things are definitely going to come up for review again, and it is a test. And if you don't choose correctly and you choose, whether you make a decision or you don't, you are making a decision. And you are going to feel the crunch on whatever this is. Um, Another thing that happened, not in 2020, no, 2020 was Brexit, right? Because this happens once, this transit happens once a year. Um, oh, 2020 was Brexit. I think I said it was GameStop. I'm sorry. 2021 was GameStop. My bad. Let me correct myself. 2020 was Brexit and how they talked about the separating from that system. We can see a lot of people doing that, other countries doing that, other cities doing that. Um, or people in your life you're going to be pulling away from, separating from, because of this big you know that's coming in, right? People separating from agreements and arrangements. um it definitely could be about your kids. I was listening to Boyce Watkins, and he had a video on, you guys know he has always got something on that's relative to family, which I always um appreciate, because I think a lot of the times we're kind of taught to do the exact opposite of what we should be doing, which is another reason why we have trauma, whether we see it that way or not. But two things that he was talking about is that if you look at the infrastructure, I think he referred it to a quote that um, America made. Ask not what you could do for your country, but no, ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country? And instead of saying your country, change country to family. Because a lot of those same infrastructures, and I'm going to give you a acronym. Is that what you call those things that you make up, like little words or way to remember things? It might be a different word, but forgive me for if it is. But he said something that I really, 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 really liked on how you can think about these things that are coming up in your life, what you're trying to build, and having a sturdy foundation for those things. He called it sturdy, and the STN stands for systems. These are things that you can learn, should know about, how to function within them. Because having a system, a well-oiled, ran system, is a great way to run your family, especially when you're talking about having a business, being successful, and who's going to take care of it when you're gone. Um, that's also knowing the difference between um, how to have a legacy. There's a name for it. It's a legal document that I did some videos with Brian. Oh my God. They're all on my old page. Maybe I'll post some more clips of that interview that I did with him. Um, but there's a document that's based off of your legacy, all those Plutonian themes, like um when you pass away, who takes over everything, and having those kinds of things set up is very important, so that when you leave this earth, God forbid, that it's all set up on how everything should be ran. Another way that I was thinking about that, when I first left my job, and I actually started oh my God, how do you say it? My own psychic hotline. And how I functioned and set up that system was the same way that I used the responsibilities that I did day to day on my job. I wrote everything out, just like a real business. I got my notebook and I wrote out day to day what my responsibilities was at my job and used those as ways to work with the clients that I hired. Um, and I had orientation, like the whole shebang. I'm saying had, like I still have those things written up because those are, again, infrastructures. Those are systems on how to help you not only just structure your business, but your family and your life, right? Another thing, oh, systems. Okay, let me focus. Technology, because that's they're trying to do everything digital. So whether you like it or not, good for you. That's your opinion. But you're going to have to learn it to know it so that you could still operate and move around. And it also expands and widens the opportunities that you have access to. Entrepreneurship, um, relationships. And remember, relationships, we're not just talking about hi, how are you? And sitting down and just having a mindless conversations. We're talking about think tanks, intentional. What's your system and process for finding out who do you want on your team and how they fit in? That's an interviewing process. All those interviewing questions, go get those. You can get interview questions anywhere online and talk to people like that. People aren't gonna fucking like it, but they can go suck balls, okay? Because at the end of the day, nobody else is going to set up your system, your life, for you better than anybody else, okay? Um, and delegation. So who has what role? This is important for the kids to know, even if they don't want to be a part of the business. This isn't about forcing kids to do anything because that's not what we're supposed to be doing. And I certainly wouldn't suggest that to anybody. I don't do that. But if you don't have a system, I think a good example Dr. Boyce Watkins used was if you're going to stay here, that's good because I'm getting older. I need you. I'm going to need you or somebody to help me and support me and take care of me. But what you have to, if you do stay here, you have to bring something to the table. Don't stay here and be a burden and think that just because I'm your parent, I'm still supposed to support you and pay for everything. Now you're bringing more drama and stress, like I was talking about in the beginning of the video in here. Like we have these families and these possibilities to grow in great ways, but we don't even know how to raise our kids in such a way that they would even want to work with us. And I'm not saying that in a good way or a bad way, but just to put a seed in your head. A family is a business. It is running a country. It's those things. So those things that it takes to do that, you incorporate in your everyday life, and maybe you'll have different experiences with your children and your family moving um, forward. And it depends. Some people might not even want this, and that's good for you too. This is only if you really care. So, and the last one was why, but there's nothing to go with the why. I just wanted to make it a word. So it's sturdy with an E, not a U. And that's systems, technology, entrepreneurship, relationships, and delegation. Okay. Um, And the last thing was in 2022, Australia was the first country to mandate vaccinations. So I think there's obviously a lot going on with that. I feel like this is such an ignorant thing what I'm about to say. Don't worry, because that's you really should be worried. Or at least cautious at the very least. But I think the reason why I'm saying that is because you're going to learn from that experience regardless. I remember when I was on child support, and that was a 5-year process for me. And the amount of information I learned to have to survive because I wasn't bringing home Any taxes, I had to learn that you can get all your money back before taxes. I was doing and learning anything that I could as a loophole to avoid having to give all my money up or not get as much as I was getting and basically go off the grid. It taught me a lot about survival, living below my means, and saving more and more intentionally towards the things that I needed to help me again get over that hump. Um, and then I knew people and met other people who gave me other skills, tips, and tricks on how to deal with those things. And then I took them to the prison and I taught those guys how to get out of this business of being on child support and not being able to live your life. And then you look back, these people have nothing, and for what? Now your children are being traumatized by that experience. Meanwhile, you think you're doing something by putting another person down. Hurt people, hurt people. I know that there's a lot of people out there who can tell some pretty horrible stories. I can tell you some pretty horrible stories, but this is how you know the difference between who you're dealing with as opposed to light and darkness. You understand what I'm saying to you? A person who can take a terrible situation that they have been through and rise above that, despite the fact for the greater good, that's a light person. That's a person who operates out of lightness. If that person is trying to get back, bury you more in the ground, that they now that they know that you're down on the floor and this, that, and the third, well, you already know who you're dealing with. Okay. Um, and those are the type of people you want to try to avoid at all costs. The last thing that I'll say about that is, I just so happen to be talking to another friend who's Aquarius, by the way, and Aquarius season. I think Jesus be making no mistakes, y'all. And so, we just so happen to be chatting, catching up. We don't talk frequently. And he was telling me everything that I could suspect any fucking Aquarius or fixed sign in general is going through. But let me tell you what he did this time that was different. And I literally wanted to kiss him in the mouth. Not only did he call to say, hey, you was on my mind. I was in an area where, we used to go all the time. And I said, let me just reach out to her, see how she's doing. He mentioned that he was going through some BS and what he's doing about that. But he didn't call to put his drama on me. He said, it's just not fair. I almost fell to my fucking knees. I said, oh my God, somebody got the fucking message. I said, "Hi, anytime, sir. You are welcome here." Okay. Um, because that's growth right there. So you can tell right about now that he's learned something. He said, I'm just gonna take it and go to counseling and work through my shit, and that's that. I said, a motherfucking man. And more power to you. In fact, I know you're gonna be okay because you just spoke magical words. That's all Saturn wants you to do is take accountability, start setting up some goddamn boundaries and respecting other people's space and shit. And do you not think you're gonna get blessings from doing that? It might not be when you want them, but he's always on time. Ain't that what they say? I don't know, but that's what they say. All right. And he even was able to help me with something that I happen to be telling him about. And so they do have people out there who make cards, um, for people, fake cards for people who don't want to be vaccinated. So I'm about to get the hookup right now because I didn't judge nobody. I always have an open heart. And like I be telling y'all, when people come in your life during these times when I be telling you it could be some bullshit. Okay. You always be open because you never know what closure could be coming to you, what more you can be learning to a story that's going to help you move forward or elevate you. And no, it's not always peaches and cream and pretty and pink and shit. But remember, that's your job to use that discernment. Okay. So I do think a lot more people are going to fall into, some troubles with trying to go back to work, but needing to be vaccinated. So that there are loopholes around that. All right. And I'll share more as I learn more. If you want to talk more personally and privately, hit me up in the DMs and we gonna fucking talk. Okay? So, as usual, family, I fucking love and appreciate you. I hope that this information is helpful to you and you're learning stuff and shit. And yeah, man. Peace.